Welcome to the Trumpet Study Project video series. This is the Clodomir edition. In this video series, I'm sharing my journey to rebuild my trumpet skills after an extended break from regular playing. In this video, I'm going to play Clodomir's Sixth Study from his 70 Little Studies book, and afterwards I'm going to share an idea with you inspired by a piece of sports equipment that was used in a game that I played in grade school. Now, we used brown ones, but I guess they come in other colors. For our purposes here as trumpeters, there's something about this piece of sports equipment that when I think of it, it really helps me to play intervals like what we're encountering here in the Clodomir studies. I'd forgotten about it until I started practicing study number 6, and I'm going to share with you in a few minutes how it helps me. I first encountered this idea, which is really more of a feel kind of thing, when I was practicing the Haydn trumpet concerto in my 20s, and I want to be able to do this again. So I'm not back to that level yet, but here's my current best version of Clodomir number 6, followed by a trip into the practice room with an idea from grade school gym class that can help. Since study number 4, Clodomir has slowly been introducing ever wider intervals for us to play. Study number 6 really has us working it, and he now has us returning again and again to the same note. First it's the C in the first 3 bars, and then in the next phrase it's the G. And after that, it just jumps around a bunch. Somewhere along the way when I was young and learning how to play tongued intervals on the trumpet, I learned of this idea that I want to share with you. And it's a feel kind of thing for when you're jumping around up and down playing tongued intervals. So what I want to do is jump into my practice session and let my practicing self introduce you to what I think is a fun and helpful way to think about playing intervals. I'm also going to talk about so-called wrong notes while you're practicing and what's really going on. What I'm trying to do is get a sense of bouncing, kind of, on the air as I play the notes, and that they are round, and because there's lots of up and down and up and down and up and down, and I want to have a sense of a bouncing up and bouncing up and bouncing up and into the other note, all of the notes really bouncing into it with a full air. Even if it's piano, it's still a full amount of air coming into it. Might be a small full air, but a full air. And rather than smacking it, it's sort of going into it, thinking that way. So. Kind of like you're bouncing. Where I went to school, we had these balls, and I don't know what else we did with them in gym class, but I know that one of the games was dodgeball, or some people called it murder ball. I always think of those balls because they were sort of, they had a bit of a squish to them. They weren't like a volleyball, which is very firm, or a soccer ball, which is very firm, and even basketballs. These things had a little bit of a squish to them. When you could, you bounced it and you just could sort of see it sink into the floor, just a little bit. And I always think of those balls when I'm working on something like this, that I'm hitting them like that ball just kind of bouncing up and springing up. You're springing up to the next note and springing up to the next note and springing up to the next note as you're going forward through the study. So that's what I'm aiming for. Now, I'm really loud at the moment. It's supposed to be piano. Don't worry about the dynamics as you work on the technique. Once you get the sense of it, then you pull back your volume. But let's get it in the first place, and that's what I'm trying to do. It's also longer than it's supposed to be. Again, I'm not worried about that. I'll come back and I'll shorten them after. I'm going to keep going. I was fluffing a few notes, but when you're practicing, don't worry about some fluffy notes. Sometimes you want to stop and you want to fix them right away, but other times it's good to actually just keep going through those. Just keep going, keep blowing onto the next note, the next note, the next note. You want to get used to that. For one reason is if you're in a performance and you fluff a note, you can't stop. So you got to get used to just keep going. But in the rehearsal, like when you're practicing, that's okay, because it's almost more important to make sure the air keeps going and the notes will sort themselves out. You're going to come back to them for sure, but just keep going, and from the beginning. And you get that spring-like feeling as you blow air at it. It's the air that you're putting at it. And my ear wants to hear it even be a little more springy than that, but it's what I'm working on, so it's not quite there yet. But it's your air that you're putting to all of your notes. You're giving them their air. You're not smacking it. You're blowing at it. Kind of like, you're bouncing the ball a little bit. Just keep moving that air. It's your air is your friend. Basically always. It's the air and moving it. What I'm getting at here is how we're using our body to get the air to move for us, such that it really helps the notes to speak. Now that might seem obvious because, well, of course we need air to play the trumpet, but it's how you use the air that really matters. And then you just want to pick up the speed. All sorts of wrong notes or missed notes, but that's okay. Part of the wrong notes are me playing with the air. That's part of the wrong notes. It's not me actually playing a wrong note, although the tone came out funny. It's my lips and the air navigating each other. More air, sometimes you'll hit the wrong note higher. Not enough air, you might fall short. And that's just what's happening, because I'm playing with the air at the moment. And the lips are going, wow, ooh, wow, what are you doing? And they're going to even themselves out and get used to it, what we're looking for. So anyway, I kept working on the study because I wasn't done yet. Whoa, I'm not there yet. Let's go a little slower, 113. Note, if you start to feel tension happening in your body, stop, rest, relax. Let that tension go, and then start again. And if it isn't going away easy, take a break. It could be a short break or even longer. Tension in your body is, and if you keep going with it, is you working against yourself. It's going to get harder and harder. Whereas if you stop and relax and try again, it's going to go more easily. This bouncing ball idea is super useful for helping us produce rounder, fuller tones and play the intervals that we encounter as we move up and down, tonguing them. But when you're doing this, it's also helpful to keep one more thing in mind regarding your air. And because study number 7 has even bigger intervals to play, I decided to cover this idea about our air in the video for number 7, because it builds on what we've just covered today. And when number 7 is ready, it'll be right up here. And if you're interested in how to practice strategically so you get the most of your time in the practice room, check out study number 5 if you haven't already. It's right here. And if this video was helpful, please would you click the like button? It lets YouTube know to share it with more people so it can help them too. Well, that's it. Take care. I hope you're having fun playing. See you next time.